Hi, my name is Meet Kevin. Today, I want to show you exactly how, at the start of 2019, I started with $3,000 and made it my mission to turn that $3,000 into as much money as possible without touching a single other dollar from my own pocket. So let's get started and break down exactly how I did this and how you can take advantage of these strategies as well. All today in this video, let's get right into it. When I was 16 years old, I played a lot of World of Warcraft, a ton of Burning Crusade and WoW. And I did really well, so well that I ended up selling my account, my character, for thousands of dollars. And I made the best investment decision I could have ever thought to make at 16 years old. I bought myself a 46-inch Sony Bravia LCD TV, 1080p baby, yeah! Okay, yeah, it wasn't the best decision I could have possibly made. It was probably the worst decision I could make. So in 2019, I set out to redeem myself, and I started with $3,000. I actually started right here, in this room. See, a lot of you know that I'm a 27-year-old real estate broker and real estate investor. But $3,000 doesn't get you very far. And in fact, in my case, I didn't really go anywhere. I stayed right here at this computer. See, this computer is all I used to find properties that I ended up buying to help generate a lot of money for me with very little money. So here's how this works. When you're considering buying real estate, there's something really interesting that can happen. You can find properties that are worth a lot more than what you can buy them for. This means you can profit the difference, but it doesn't only mean you can profit the difference, it means you can partner with other people to help you make these purchases happen. So in other words, you can literally start with $0 or $3,000 as I did in my challenge and make a lot of money. All it takes is this, because all I did was sit here and scroll around on things like Facebook and the multiple listing service, aka Zillow and Redfin, places where properties hit the market, and I went shopping for real estate with $3,000. Now I should probably be knocking on doors and, pounding the pavement and making a bunch of cold calls to try to find really good real estate deals, but I just kind of like being here and looking at deals from right here because it's really easy and I can just sit here and chill and drink coffee and make YouTube videos. So while I was scrolling around, I ended up coming upon one of these deals on Redfin, actually, on Zillow as well. But the first place I found it was Redfin, which I hate giving them credit because I'm a real estate agent, and real estate agents on Redfin, we kind of have a thing against each other. But anyway, that is where I found it. So this particular house was $450,000, and when you went inside, let's just say it needed a little bit of work. The kitchen needed some love. Family room, dining room needed some love. The light fixtures, the ceiling, the patio enclosure in the back was kind of weird. When you jumped on over to the hall bath, you had a chocolate vanity and not exactly the most desirable bathroom, but when you compared it to your other option, let's just say this bathroom became a lot more desirable to use, given the alternatives. Anyway, the place needed a little bit of love. And this place ended up selling for $450,000. Now this is what it looked like after a $49,000 investment, cleaning it up. And the interesting thing about this deal isn't so much where the $450,000 came from, although I'll talk to you about that. Not so much where the fix-up money came from, although we'll talk about that as well. It's that this particular property is now in a $600,000 plus neighborhood and is probably worth at least $600,000. Yet it was bought for essentially less than $500,000. That's a really nice way to make money, especially when I show you how I did this all with $3,000. But hey, I like scrolling around on the computer. It's easy for me, and it's kind of enjoyable to just sit here and drink some coffee and scroll. So I did a little bit more scrolling. That's when I came upon this deal, which was listed for $650,000 and ended up selling for $650,000. As you go through the property, you can kind of see it doesn't actually look that bad. It's got some plantation shutters, the flooring's not that bad, the wall paint, maybe a little bit grungy, and maybe the carpet's a little meh. But, as you kind of continue on throughout the property, you see it's got these dated cabinets and a mattress in the family room. But hey, you know what? These are things that we could solve. In fact, I'm pretty sure I saw a YouTube video about how you could remodel this kitchen for $643, but I guess that's beside the point. More interesting though is that this property is now in an $800,000 neighborhood, and it's probably worth at least $775,000 because this is what it looks like now. It's got those new cabinets, it's got the new carpet, and it's got the updated paint. It's even got a couple ceiling fans that it didn't have before. So again, I guess I have a little bit of explaining to do in terms of where that $650,000 came from and where the money came to fix this place up. That place needed about $8,000 worth of fixing up. Well, before we get to that part, I, let's just say did some more scrolling. Except this time, the scrolling was on Facebook, and a realtor had posted that they had a coming soon listing coming up. Anyway, realtor had posted that this deal was coming up for $465,000. And so here's a $465,000 house with, a kitchen that needs a little love, some missing flooring, an older brick fireplace, blue bathroom, and, well, let's just say there's a blue toilet and an older vanity in the other bathroom. So anyway, this place needed about $46,000 worth of love. It is also in a $620,000 plus neighborhood and is probably worth about $620,000 today. So this is where things get a little bit interesting. I now have control of $2 million worth of real estate that I bought in 2019, except I only used $3,000 to do all of that. There are a few things that I just want to get out of the way before I explain how to make this happen. The number one thing when it comes to real estate, and this is exactly what I teach in the real estate investing course, that's 6 months of content at 15 minutes a day of educating yourself the psychology of learning how to understand real estate. And then once you figure that out and you know how to buy deals or you already have deals, you could graduate on over to the do-it-yourself property management and rental renovations course so you don't get ripped off by contractors and you don't get screwed by tenants. But I don't have that much time in this YouTube video, so you can check out the coupon code down below. And in the meantime, let me just give you this here. Real estate is all about buying a great deal. If you find a great deal, there will be no shortage of money or people to help you make this stuff happen. So number one, always start with a good deal. Then number two, if you're going to take out any form of financing, make sure that A, you have the income to support the payments. Obviously, you can consider the rent the property generates, but your income should be stable enough to where you're comfortable insulating these properties. In addition, you really want to be buying these properties below market value. So if for whatever reason you lose your job or something happens, the market starts falling, you could quickly sell the properties and move on, pay off your debts and move on. But losing your job and having to sell because the market is falling, those are your worst case scenario. Instead, your real protection should be A, stable job, but B, enough cash flow from those deals to make sure that the cash flow pays all of the expenses related to the properties so that if the market falls, no problem, you don't have to sell, you're insulated and you're protected. And you don't need a lot of cash flow, you just need enough to cover your payments, your expenses, property management, and once you've got all of that set up, you're good. All right, so now how did I buy $2 million worth of really good deals for $3,000? Well, here's exactly how I did it. Let's first add up the money that I need to buy the deals. Because I'm going to get loans on these deals, I don't need the full $2 million. In fact, the first deal that I got for $450,000, I only needed about $112,500 plus the fix-up money, and included in that would be like closing costs and holding costs of about $49,000. Now, I know that's more than $3,000, but just hang tight. The second deal I bought, I only needed $32,500 to buy it because I bought it with just 5% down. Now, there's more of a story to it as to why that's now a rental. Don't worry, it's all legit, it's all been solved. That's really a topic for a different video. But anyway, bought it with $32,500 and put $8,000 in to fix it up. The third deal, I needed $190,000 to buy it. That was my down payment, plus $46,000 to fix it up. And that was in part because it wouldn't qualify for conventional financing. So I got a different form of financing involved, which is the kind of stuff I talk about in the real estate investing course. But either way, we're just gonna keep this as simple as possible. So I needed to come up with $438,000. And I only had $3,000. So I needed to come up with $435,000. So on the first deal I did, I needed about $160,000. And because I knew it was such a good deal, but I didn't necessarily want to use other money than the $3,000 I had because I had a challenge, a mission to prove to myself that I could do it with as little of my own money as possible, which again, $3,000, I ended up calling up some people that I know. I called my brother-in-law, who had $100,000 that he was looking to invest, and his wife. They ended up looking at the deals I was working on and said, we'll gladly lend you $100,000. Then I saw my dad was spending money like crazy on things like motorcycles, beer, and girls. And so I said, hey, you know what? Before you spend all of your money on like jackets and clothing and bikes and helmets and mods, how about you lend me the $70,000 that you have, keep a little bit, but not enough to where you feel like you could just spend all your money. I'll pay you monthly interest, and now you kind of have like retirement money so you can still go have fun or whatever, but you're not blowing through the money that you've saved up by working hard for it. So now I borrowed $170,000 from people around me that I knew that had money that they were either blowing through or wanted to invest. And the way I got the money was by showing them, hey, here's some really good deals I'm working on. What do you think about lending against these deals? The cool thing about that is when you go to the bank and the bank sees, wait a minute, you're gonna borrow money from us and you're borrowing all of this extra money, the bank, all they really care about is saying, okay, well, how does all the debt add up? What are all your payments on all this debt? And then how does that compare to the rent? So the bank is actually going to let me use a good chunk of the rent that these properties are generating to make payments on these debts. So I don't actually have to qualify for all of the debt myself. In fact, I have to qualify for very little of it because they're rental properties. So obviously, I have to have a job to be able to pull this off and get qualified with the bank. But as long as you have a job and you don't have a bunch of like car debt or credit card debt or student loans, you can go do this. So you're incentivized to really pay off your debt and use your job to do exactly what I'm describing here. And then in addition to using your job and getting a loan from a bank, you find really good deals and get a loan from people who want to work with you to buy these deals. Now, for my second deal, I needed about an extra $40,000. So I went to Chase, and Chase said, hey, we can give your business a line of credit. It's a business line of credit. It's kind of like a credit card for your business, except the interest rate's only like 4% or 5% instead of 25% like some credit cards, which is insane. Unless you get the Apple card, which that's only like 15%, but that's also still ridiculously expensive. So I got a business line of credit, and my business lent me $40,000 as an individual, and now I had $40,000 to go shop for my second good deal, which I got with 5% down and the $8,000 worth of fix-up money. Then for my last deal of 2019, I ended up going to a local credit union and establishing a new home equity line of credit. I got this line of credit against the house that I own of $125,000. And that's because I have so little debt on the house that I own, because I'm always a big fan of insulating myself, having as little debt as possible, but then still using debt wisely to make sure I can get deals. So there's definitely a balancing act between being over leveraged and being at that balance, that 35% balance I like being at. Anyway, I used a home equity line of credit, and I was able to draw $125,000 from that home equity line of credit. But I needed more money for my last deal, that Facebook deal, because it was a little bit of an unconventional deal in that, I couldn't get regular financing on it. And the way I did that is I refinanced the first property that I fixed up, borrowed an extra $100,000 against property number one. So now I had my $125,000 line of credit and another $100,000 that came from a refinance, and I bought my third really good deal. Now, again, I know this sounds like, oh my gosh, that's a crazy amount of debt. This is not how I usually go buy properties. In fact, usually I have way less debt on properties. But I had a challenge for 2019. Show that it's possible to take $3,000 and make a lot of money. So let's now figure out how much money I actually made. In total, I ended up buying $2 million worth of deals. but I used a little over $1.6 million worth of debt to be able to make that happen. That's all of the original mortgages and all of the extra money that I borrowed, the credit lines, the friends, the refinance, the family, everything. But I only used $3,000 out of my pocket. This now means I have $330,000 of positive net worth by doing these deals. So in other words, if you started the year with $3,000 and you had friends that had some money they wanted to invest, or you called people that had money who wanted to invest, but you came to them with really good deals, you would also be able to buy these now $2 million worth of deals and have $1.6-ish million worth of debt, which now gives you over $330,000 of positive equity. In other words, I turned $3,000 into $330,000. And even if I went to sell everything and paid my closing costs, everything involved, I would still net walk away with over $200,000, which I was able to make with just $3,000. Now, I never plan to sell, so I'm gonna keep that $330,000 as net worth. Now my plan becomes, as I make money and I make more income and the rents go up on these properties, pay off all these extra lines of credit. So that way, as soon as I pay off these other lines of credit and my father and my brother-in-law, now all of a sudden my debt on these properties goes down to somewhere around $1.3 million, which is in line with my long-term debt ratio basis of no more than 65% debt, and I'm ready to go do it again. So thanks so much for watching my journey of how I turned $3,000 into over $330,000 of net worth and $2 million of properties. That was 2019. Let's see what 2020 has in store for not just me, but I want to see you doing this as well. Join me in the courses link below, and we'll see you on Instagram and YouTube. Thanks again.